Hey guys, my name is Emiliano and I play guitar. So I decided to call this a short series of videos to quarantine studies. You know the reason why I did that, right? In this very crazy period of time, of course I'm wishing everyone to stay safe, stay at home as much as you can, and just try to keep up with these really challenging times. What I'm recommending today is a series of books that every one of us can really study in self-isolations. What I mean is that once you got the book, you can totally go your own way with it. I'm talking about A Modern Method for Guitar by William Levitt. I'm holding in my hands right now the Italian version of this, just because when I moved to London from Italy, I decided to bring this one as one of the very fundamental ones for me. I really think that this is one of the most important books that every guitarist, no matter what's your main genre, if you're any serious about playing guitar as a professional or even just as a semi-pro player, this series of books is going to be really helpful for you. So let me just go very quickly through the main topics covered in this series of books. In the introduction to the very first one, what the author says is that there are two main goals that he wanted to reach with this series. The first one is to learn how to read music and being able to play that music on guitar. And the second one is to develop dexterity in both hands, meaning that rhythm guitar and the rhythm skills becomes really crucial. The reason being that even if you are aiming to improve your lead playing, there's one thing that all the most talented and successful guitarists in the world always say, and that thing is being a good rhythm guitarist. That's really important, and in these books you can totally improve your rhythm skills. So volume 1 of this series starts with notes in first position, starting on the lower strings in the key of C and building up step by step to improve your knowledge about where you can find each note on the fretboard, starting from the lower strings, as I said, going all the way up to the higher strings, and moving then to triad, your first chords, first rhythm studies, duet, rhythm accompaniment, and then moving on progressively towards new scales like chromatic scales and movable chords, and the first attempt to substituting chords as well. Now, if any of these terms sounds new or sounds really strange to you, don't forget that I'm available for online lessons, and you can find a way to reach me just down here now. There should be something popping up, but I will get back to this later before the end of this video. Okay, so moving on to the volume 2 of the series, I think the main and the most important thing is that in this second volume you start to build up the knowledge of all the fretboard, moving down from the first position, going all the way across the frets and trying to cover as much of the fretboard as you can. In particular, is in this second volume that the 4 basic major scale fingering patterns are introduced. These 4 patterns are really specific to the approach that this book and Levitt as an author decided to use for all the Berklee College of Music series. So if you're familiar, for example, with the 3 notes per strings fingerings or the caged system, this is slightly different. In some points it's very similar to the caged system, but I think that if you want to get as much as you can from this series of books, probably the best thing for you is to learn these 4 basic patterns as they are suggested in the book. Another important aspect introduced in the second volume regards arpeggios in 1 and 2 octaves. You build up more in terms of scales, of rhythm patterns, of chords, so everything is moving up from what you used to know at the end of volume 1. And there's one more thing that is important, I forgot it to mention probably at the end of volume 1. If you are interested in getting better in sight reading, there's one thing that's a really important tip that Levitt gives us at the end of book 1. He says specifically that if you want to improve your ability to sight read, a good recommendation is to try and keep practicing 4 pages of music each day. I think, of course, he starts referring to his own books, but generally speaking, this can be applied to any sight reading handbook you might find for yourself. I think this is a really good approach, generally speaking, for anything you want to study on guitar. Maybe if 5 pages still sounds a little bit too hard for you, you can start with 3 pages, but I will say no less than 3 pages per day for sure. So we got to volume number 3 of the series of books, and in the very introduction to this, Levitt says that fingerings for scales and chords and arpeggios are developed to the ultimate, and what he means with this is that really in volume number 3 you can really expand your knowledge, and also you start to focus more on scale and chord relationships. This is really helpful if you want to improve your improvisation skill the clever way, let's say. And then of course more scales, diminished scales, whole tone scales, how to substitute chords, and how to work on melodizations. So basically all the tools you need if you want to broaden up your language. Okay guys, this is it for a moment. So my main suggestion for you is to go for the 3 volumes of the series A Modern Method for Guitar. I think this is a really complete and exhaustive series for you if you want to improve your sight reading, if you want to improve your knowledge of the fretboard, scales, chords, anything really to improve your knowledge on the instrument. Now, if you feel like you had enough about this series and you still want to maintain or improve your sight reading abilities, there are a couple of extra books that I would like to suggest to you as an extra tip now. The first one, and I have it here, is called Reading Studies for Guitar, and it's really specific for you to move from the very first position again, going through the 12 keys and going throughout all the fretboard. Now, I said that this one is more focused on the lead guitar side, just because there's a second one that it might be really helpful for you, which is called Melodic Rhythms for Guitar, and in this case the focus moves more towards any possible rhythm figures you might find in any sight reading you will have to do for your job as a pit guitarist, for example, or for any other sort of need, maybe in sessions, recording studios, anytime you're asked to play a very particular and specific kind of groove on your guitar. Alright guys, this is it for the moment. Let me just remind you, if you feel like you started to work on these books and you're struggling, you feel like you're stuck and you can't move on, or you feel like you're not progressing at all, then don't forget I am available for online lessons, so you can get in touch with me. There should be my email address popping up right now, so just drop me an email and we can start from there. Alright guys, this is it for a moment. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.